And Rasha is joining us from Beit Java in Palestine. She also participated in the PNE in 2016 in a group especially for women. And she's part of the Alumni Solidarity Community. And we'll hear later from Arnon and Rasha about their experiences in the project and specifically in the events this past Saturday. But we're going to start with Mazen and Rami. I think Mazen, you're on mute. Let me unmute you. There you go. Okay, you guys take it away. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, Sherry. It's our honor again and again to speak with all our friends and with all our audience in order to put our organization and our message and our work in every house and everywhere. My name is Mazen Faraj. I'm from the Hesh refugee camp near Bethlehem in Palestine. And I'm a member in the Parents Circle more than 10 years. And today I'm, as Shiri said, I'm the co-director of the Parents Circle. And I think we are not going more and more to talk about the Parents Circle. I'm sure that all of you are familiar with that, but I will say it in a few sentences about the Parents Circle. It's a group of Palestinian and Israelis, more than 600 families together. All of us from the people, they pay the highest price in this conflict. And we choose the way of peace and reconciliation and hope. And we choose the other way, which is not familiar in this conflict and which is not familiar with this situation. And we find ourselves that we are not choosing and decide to be in the path of reconciliation and peace, but we're finding ourselves that we have a very holy mission that in our shoulders, and together with our work, with our activity, with our projects, that we have to prove that the violence and the continuation of this conflict, it's killed everyone, and it's supposed to be end in a minute, and in a very simple way, that all of us, we are just a human being and we deserve much better life. And all what we're doing coming from a place of the bereavement and believe. And the most important things that this is our mission, as I said. So all of these 600 families together with this amazing stuff that we have, we're doing all this activity and this project. And if you allow me, I will say it in a few sentences about the project itself, which is the narrative parallel that we started in 2010. And it was kind of idea that most of the Palestinians, they know the Israelis through as the settlers, as the soldiers, as a people, maybe they treat us so hard in Israel jail. And this is actually the process and how we grow up as a Palestinian. So we never met an Israeli as a human being. We never sit around the table. We never talk with them. And all what we know, the three pictures that I just described now. And if we go to the other side, which is the Israeli society, all what they know about the Palestinian through the media, through from the politicians, from the government, from the hatred, from the suicide bomber, and they never met the Palestinian as a human being. And this is actually what we're trying to do in this project and in all our activity inside the Parents Circle, to find a smaller space where the Palestinian and Israelis, they cannot meet face to face, to have dialogue, to speak about the hard and the deep issue, and to go more and more, which is today what we call it, every one of us have his personal story and his national story. So, and no one, all of us, we grow up in this kind of stories, and no one, and in order to ignore the other side. So this is my story as a Palestinian, and the Israelis is the same. This is my story and my national story. So we built this project to have the space for the Palestinian and Israelis to present themselves in order to have this space, in order they will have a time. So we built this project in 2010, and we start with with a group from Palestinian and Israelis, 30 Palestinian and Israelis. They're going together, as we call it, in a journey of the narrative. And every one of them, he will present his personal story and the national story. And everyone, he will put his suffering, his pain, his background, his history, his narrative, and his fear and his anger. And in this process, as all the time we just said, you don't have to agree about anything, but at least you have to start the process to listen to yourself and to start to listen to your enemy and to start to understand there is another narrative in this conflict and there's another story in this conflict. So this is kind of how we started in 2010, and we developed the project every 2 years with a different fund from the USAID or the European Union. And now in 2017, we have almost 1,000 alumni from all our projects, more than 33 groups that we did it from the Palestinian and Israelis, if you can say in a different professional, women group, doctors, education, social activists, political young leaders, you can name it, and we can send all these numbers and the names of the organization and the groups. And in order to collect all this effort and to unite it in the Palestinian and the Israelis, in order that one day they will lead the process of reconciliation and the peace in the two society. And this is actually what it makes us so proud today, that we have this huge number of people, and how we can get it to our benefit as organization. They will be more our ambassador, our messengers for reconciliation in both society in Palestine and Israel. And every time that we doing such a kind of a conference or meeting for them, we just find a lot of efforts and a lot of power and a lot of strength. So I think the Parent Circle, it's so proud to do all what we're doing. And I think the two alumni, they will speak more about the succeed that we did in 3 days ago on Saturday, and they will explain themselves and how was it the conference. So this is the narrative project, part from our project, part from our activity. And beside that, we do a lot of dialogue meeting in Israel High School, a lot of dialogue meeting in the Palestinian society. We travel around the world. We're doing all our social media, and we try to put the story of hope, the story of peace, and the story of reconciliation in a very, very hard time, while we are still live under the occupation, while we are still live under this conflict and during this conflict. And it's so hard work that to put it on the ground, especially that our politicians in the both sides, they are not willing to start to listen or to negotiate or to build the peace agreement. So this is the voice coming from the people they pay the highest price in this conflict. And today there is another voice, which is our fruits from the ground and from our projects.
Mazen and Rami, can you tell us a little bit more about the conference on Saturday and the plan, the 2-year solidarity plan?
I will try to do it. Hi everyone, thank you for coming and bothered to us. My name is Rami Elhanan. I'm the Israeli co-director of the Parent Circle. I am a member of the Parent Circle for the last 19 years after losing my 15-year-old girl in a suicide bombing in Jerusalem 20 years ago. And I'm really honored to be in this position, because I believe that our activities put a crack in these walls of hatred and fear that divide the two nations, the Israelis and Palestinians today. And we believe that through a little crack, a little light comes in, and we know that a little light can drive away a lot of darkness. What happened last Saturday was an amazing and magnificent event. It was really unbelievable. It was unique. It was a first, in which hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Israelis and Palestinians, almost 1,000, came together to show solidarity with one village that is under attack. And this is a change because the joint forces of Israelis and Palestinians, who are not meeting each other in order to hug and kiss each other and eat hummus together, but saying a very sharp and very direct political message, which says we will not put up with it. We, the people who pay the highest price in this conflict, we will not keep silent against this reality that eventually took away our kids. The occupation is taking away our kids, and we are determined to do everything in our power to change this horrible situation. What happened on Saturday was two major events. The first one was the alumni conference. We are very proud of our alumni. We believe that we must spread our message beyond the boundaries of bereavement. It's not enough to talk to ourselves. We need to talk to anyone possible. And this idea of bringing together people from homogeneous groups of the Israeli and Palestinian society, like lawyers, like doctors, like social workers, like journalists, and so many others, to a session of 8 to 10 meetings in which they are studying how to listen to each other, how to create a dialogue. In many ways, it's quite a miracle. And the outcome is amazing. We have until now about 900 alumni, which are our ambassadors of this unique and necessary message. So what happened in Saturday was a conference of this alumni in the Everest Hotel in Bejala, which is in a place where Israelis and Palestinians can meet each other without crossing checkpoints and being harassed by the army and others. And it was an amazing event. I mean, people were sitting, listening to each other, understanding the story of each other, understanding the projects which Mazen will tell you the plan for the next 2 years in a couple of minutes, and participating and having an ideas and having a future and having so many mutual things to talk about together in an atmosphere of understanding, in an atmosphere of solidarity, which is really so important. I was standing aside so deeply amazed by these people who did not lose their children. They don't have a special reason to sit there with one another. And they made miracles, and I was so proud of them, each and every one of them, because they are our ambassadors, and they are amazing people, each and every one of them. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we were joined by two other major organizations in the Israeli and Palestinian atmosphere, which are the Combatants for Peace and the Standing Together movements. And together we brought hundreds and hundreds of people to the Everest Hotel, and we start marching towards the village of Walaje. The village of Walaje is under attack for the last 50 years after being evacuated and ruined in 48. I mean, they are under constant attack. They lose lands. They have the wall built in front of their own windows. They have their houses demolished in order to create a new Israeli settlement of Gilo. And we have decided, the three movements, to make a point. You know, there is a big problem in the Palestinian agenda, which is called normalization. And many activities of Israelis and Palestinians together are perceived in the Palestinian side as kind of collaboration, which is very, very sensitive. It's very deep. For the Palestinian agenda, these meetings, ever since Oslo, the meetings between Israelis and Palestinians who are going to fancy hotels abroad and hugging and kissing and eating hummus together, At the end of the day, the Palestinians are coming back to the occupation, to the refugee camps. The Israelis are coming back to their democracy. And on the ground, the number of the settlers is doubling, and the situation worsen and worsen and worsen. So the collaboration between Israelis and Palestinians is perceived by many Palestinians as kind of a sin. Now, no one can blame us, people who pay the highest price possible, of doing normalization. Bassam Aramin spent 7 years in Israeli jail. Mazen Faraj spent 3 years in Israeli jail. They lost their relatives. They are devoted to peace. No one can tell them you are doing normalization. And a huge effort was done in order to create a dialogue with the village inhabitants to show them that our intentions are not of doing normalization, but of really solidarity and supporting them and showing our commitment to our Palestinian partners. Unfortunately, when the demonstration, which was a huge demonstration, made a lot of noise. We were very proud to walk along the road to Walaje. At the entrance, some inhabitants of Walaje prevented our entrance to the village. And there was a little moment of tension, and we decided, Mazen decided very wisely, to prevent any kind of confrontation, and we turned around and got back. And many Israelis were insulted. We want peace. We are coming to show our solidarity, and this is the way how they reject us. But I immediately understood that it is very important that it happened, because it shows that we are not having a good time. It's not, as I always say, hugging and kissing. There is a bitter opposition on the ground. Many people in Israel and in Palestine don't understand what we do. Many people oppose what we do and think that any piece of land is much more valuable than the lives of a little girl, Israeli or Palestinian. So we will be determined. We will show our solidarity and support to people who suffer. We will rise against and up against any injustice happening. And we will show that the Parent Circle, the Bereaved Families Forum, is one group that have an influence, that will lead the peace camp to a more decisive positions and a better future for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Rami, for that description of Saturday's events. It's very eye-opening. How does Mazen, Rami, I just want to give you an opportunity before we turn it over to Rasha and Arnon. Tell us how the Solidarity March fits into this 2-year Solidarity Plan that was launched on Saturday.
According to the project from the EU that we have to do every year, this conference for this alumni, and every year it will be increasing the number of the alumni, because we are continuing to do these narrative groups. This is the first, and the second one, when we wrote the proposal, it was part from the proposal what we can do with this community of alumni. And it was the answer. We will do these committees, the Solidarity Committee and the Language Committee. Solidarity Committee will deal with more about the activity on the ground for the alumni and the Parent Circle. Language Committee, it will deal with more with the language between the Palestinian and Israelis. And you can understand that not all the Palestinians speaking Hebrew, and not all the Israelis also speaking Arabic. And all the time in our projects, they just ask us how we can discuss the things if we are not knowing the language and the common language between, among other. And the third committee will be the education for peace. We will deal with a lot of lectures, a lot of documentary movie, a lot of international experience, to show what's mean the education for peace and to educate the people. And there is the steering committee, which is the committee which is responsible for all the work for this community. And this plan and this work plan, we are going every day to do it until the beginning of 2019. But for all of you, to be honest with you, it's not an easy thing to do this work, especially in this very hard political situation. And it's very hard to continue to do this work without the support from the two society and the accept from the two society. It's so hard to do and to continue this work while we are still live and continue to live. But actually last Saturday, it was a very good example what we can do together as a parent circle and also as the community of the alumni with their commitment and with their efforts. So this is the work plan for until the beginning of 2019, and we will continue to do it. And beside that, it's kind of once again about the conference on Saturday. It was a very big step for and very challenges and very difficult to do it. To invite 200 Palestinian and Israelis in the same place in the Palestinian side with this issue what Rami mentioned before, normalization. With this issue, a lot of our participants as a Palestinian, they just came after the Israeli army. In the Israeli army, they was in their villages, on their camps, on their cities, but in the morning they decide to come and be part from this. So I think what we did exactly, we just again find a space where all these people can put their fears, their anger, their suffering, and to start a journey of reconciliation with their self and reconciliation with their history, and to be one day ready to reconcile with your enemy. So it's not an easy thing to do it. We are not living far away from the conflict. We are inside and in the middle of this conflict. And every day in our daily life, in our work, in our activity, we just facing every minute the conflict inside or what we're doing. But again, because we are believe in our mission, we will continue, and we do care about all the situation, but we have to continue. And the alternative way, as all of you know, it's more violence and more people get killed, and more people will live more and more years under this occupation.
Thank you, Mazen and Rami. I want to give Rasha and Arnon some time to share with us as leading activists and participants from the alumni community. If you would share with us your experience personally as a participant in the Parallel Narrative Project, as a leader in the alumni community, and your experience on Saturday.
Who do you want to start?
Let's go with Rasha. Ladies first.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Rasha Obeid from Beijala. I don't know how to start exactly to tell you about my feelings or what happened or what we planned. It was a big process, and it was very long. When you look at it, like you feel like you are walking in a long street, and it's like without any end. I was with the group first, with the women groups. It happened like in 2016. It was a great experience for me, sharing feelings, sharing ideas, sharing real life between Palestinian and Israeli. Especially as a woman, we was talking about, because I was in a women group. First of all, I want to share that we visit the village, Lifta village. It's a Palestinian village. It was occupied by and now it's almost part of the village still unreal, and most of it was destroyed. It was a great feeling here all together. We also visit Yad Vashem. To have that feeling that you are with the Israeli and you are visiting a Palestinian village that's taken from you, and it's your village, okay, and you was living here and your grandfather was living here. It was not easy at all for both sides. Even our visit for Yad Vashem it was a great experience for me, and I was really so much like, I want to visit, I want to see what's happened. I wanted to know exactly what's really happened in real life. Even Israel. What happened in Germany is like, it's a big disaster for humanity. Being a part of the Parents Circle, it's a great honor for me. I'm really honored about it. We also have the problem of normalization, that some people that think that you are here against the Palestinians being part of this association, like encouraging you to join and to have that start to build peace, and you start feeling like that conflict, that am I doing the right thing? Am I doing as a Palestinian person? Is it right to talk to the Israeli or not? It's started thinking and very big emotional. Okay, I was a part of the Solidarity Committee. On Saturday, we had the conference, and I was part of it. And we talked about our activities in last year. All this year, I was working on the Solidarity Committee. We worked many activities, Palestinian and Israeli. It was like, for me, it was very successful activities to build a little feelings that people can do something about peace, and we can do something to build and increase this idea between all the society around us, Palestinian and Israeli society. We have like, it's a big, it's not easy at all. It's not easy. It's not easy to have this, like, to face all around you, the people around you. I don't know exactly what to say also, but it's very nice. It's very conflict. We all, is it really, we can have it? Can have fair peace, and trying to have it and to be a part of for this peace. And that's what I want really to do. I want to be a part of this peace. For that, I'm joining this Parents Circle to be a part of it. No matter what I will face in my country or my society as a normalization person, and whatever it will happen, I was like putting our fears, as Mazen said, putting our fears behind us and start working to have one step, to talk with each other, to understand each other. At the end, we are human, and that's what I believe. You are human and I'm human. I don't mind that you are Israeli or Palestinian. I'm talking to you as a human, and I'm feeling with you as a human, no matter what you are. So that's what I have in my mind to say. And if you need to ask me about anything, I can answer you. I don't mind.
Thank you, Rasha. I'm sure people will have a lot of questions for you afterwards. Let's give Arnon some couple of minutes, and then we'll take questions. Hi, Arnon.
Hi, so can you hear me on?
Turn up your volume a little bit if you can.
Hi, Arnon.
I'll get closer. How is it okay now?
I think so, yes. Just speak loudly.
All right. So I was part of the group of the narrative project of bereaved people from both sides, both Israelis and Palestinians. I lost my uncle before I even was born. I'm named after him. So this memory of him is carried with me my whole life, although I didn't know him even. He was killed in the 6-day war. And participating in the narrative project was, I cannot underestimate the contribution of this experience. It was basically a life-changing experience for me. It was the first time for me to meet a Palestinian, to actually talk with a Palestinian, to look with a Palestinian eye to eye, to hear them, to let them hear what I feel. The funny thing was that before we even started the joint group discussion, I was really afraid that we will have no arguments and everything will be like honey talks. And I learned that even when people from both sides are coming willingly to speak, there is a huge gap between them. And participating in this group helped me to understand this huge gap and to start thinking about ways to bridge over this gap, over this huge gap. So this surprise of having a real meaningful discourse, even when I thought that both sides agree with each other, was amazing. So besides learning a lot about the conflict and about the Palestinians, I started to become more and more involved in all kinds of ways of promoting a nonviolent discourse and eventually reconciliation and maybe peace. And for the first time in my life, I became sort of an activist, and I'm proud of it. So now I understand the other side much better. I think that in a very deep level, this is the first time I'm trying to formulate it in words. I think I became a little Arab. And a small anecdote, I was participating in some social gathering a few weeks ago, and I brought some dish that I made, some nice salad, and the people told me that this salad has an Arab taste. And I was very, very proud of it, that I could grasp something from the other side, and I felt very close to them. So this is an amazing experience. This is why I immediately joined the alumni committee, and I participate in the steering committee. And the conference on Saturday was really a very lifting experience. It was almost spiritual to see everybody there, dozens of Israelis and Palestinians, eager to hear about opportunities to work together in order to promote some kind of a solution.
Thank you, Arnon. So we're right on time. We have about 20 minutes for questions. If you are joining us online, you take your mouse and you scroll down to where it says manage participants. Or it'll say participants, and then you'll have a button on the right-hand side which says raise hand. Is that right, Christopher? And if you have a question, you raise your hand, I will see it. We'll try it this way, and if that doesn't work, we'll do it the old-fashioned way where you'll unmute yourself.
There were a couple of questions in the chat box as well. Samah had asked, she had mentioned talking to each other is the first step, but I wonder if there are more meetings, trainings, and the like. So essentially what do we do outside of the dialogue is the first step, but what do we do beyond that to take that to the next level in terms of reconciliation and peace building?
Okay, no, I will say something. I think as Rami said before, we are not a political organization, and we are not telling our leaders when to put on the map the lines and the borders. But I think what do you mean more? I'm not sure about to have one state solution will be the solution. I think what we most of the time and in the history they're just talking about two-state solution for the two nations, and but the continuation of the building the settlements and the occupation and all these procedures and the wall and the checkpoints, it's killed this two-state solution. But we have to try to find a solution for this conflict. We have to try to find, as we call it, maybe now we have to divorce, and maybe in the future we will get married again. But I think we're talking about a different nation and a different culture, a different traditional, a different religion, And today the conflict, it's around about the land, about the political conflict. And I'm so afraid what it will be the future, or behind the other solutions, it will become kind of a religious solution, which is so complicated, it will be more hard, and all this kind of religious between Muslims and Jewish will arrive there and will be allowed there. So I think we have to be more in a solution that the Palestinians, they will have their independent state, and the Israelis, they will have their independent state with respect, with identity, with everything that every one of us need. And maybe in the future that once we are ready, we can be really get married again.
Rami, did you want to add anything to that?
Yes, I think we need to learn how to live together, and we have to redefine the reasons in which we are willing to kill for and die for. We have to do a restart, all of us, and understand that if we will not be able to share the land in one way or another, we will have to share the graveyards under it. So I'm not sure if the discussion about one state or two states or 10,000 states is relevant right now. Right now, the problems on the ground, the continuation of the occupation, the harassment of people, the house demolition, the confiscation of land, and all the troubles of the occupation is a very harsh reality on the ground, which we need to oppose, which we need to fight. And in the end, I know that in the end, there will be some kind of solution, one state or two states or 10,000 states, or the United States of the Middle East. The key word is the ability to have respect to one another, as I said before.
Thank you. There's a question here in the chat from Paula. Paula would like to know more about the events on Saturday, how they were organized. How did you advertise them? Did you prepare banners and chants or signs? And we can share after this, we can share some video clips, and you can see lots of pictures on our social media, on our Facebook page. But maybe you just want to say a couple words about the behind the scenes for preparing for Saturday.
I can say a few words if you want.
Sure, please.
So I can talk about the part of the conference, of the alumni conference, not on the part of the demonstration, because I was part of the organizing committee for the conference. Basically, we had a relatively easy job because this was an alumni conference, and we had all the contacts for the alumni. So in the Israeli side, we used emails and phones and text messages and Facebook groups, and same was done for the Palestinian side. And we worked first separately in Hebrew for the Israeli participants and in Arabic for the Palestinian participants, but everything was coordinated and all the messages were formed together and then translated. So this is for the conference part.
Great. There are some questions coming later about the Solidarity March, so why don't we pause there and take another question. George has his hand raised. Let's see if I can unmute you. 1 second, George. Christopher, unmute George.
Okay, am I live
There you
now?
go. Yep, now we can hear you.
Okay. In the stories that the four of you told, especially related to all of the dimensions of what you're involved in, but to Saturday's very public event, I heard a deep sense of your own commitment that might be against all odds and might even have you running risk. I'm just wondering if any of you would want to share, what risks did you realize you had as you engaged in that? What were your greatest fears about what would happen Saturday?
Rasha, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I will. It's there's many risks in our society as a Palestinian. It's the most important thing is your name as a Palestinian woman. I work here and living here with all around me as a Palestinian society. Normalization is something like being betrayed for your country, okay? It's not something acceptable to deal with Israeli. Being there with the Israeli people, walking to the Walaje, it's like facing all the community. I'm telling that, stop, I'm with Israeli, I'm with peace, I'm with building that peace together as a Palestinian, with the Israeli. This fear, you can't imagine how it will affect your whole life. You are living in this society that is all against being or sitting and talking with the Israeli. They just feel like it's our enemy. It's nothing. You must not allow to talk to him. You must not allow to sit with him. So how would you feel like walking in the street with the Israeli, carrying all the banners that stop occupation and we need to build peace together? It's like you are walking against all around you. It affects you. It affects your family also. It affects everyone when they start talking about you. Sometimes you have just that you are, even to talk to the people, like when you have this conversation that I need to build peace, I need to sit with Israel, to respect them and to hear about them and to know all what they want to do, talk or to explain or whatever. And I need to express myself as a Palestinian, and I need to know, I tell them what's my right and what I need as a Palestinian person. And that people are not accepted. They never accept it. And that's the most big issue that we are all under it.
Thank you. Rami or Arnon, do you want to talk about the risk?
I would like to say one thing for Rasha. I think she's a great woman, a very brave one. And I'm so deeply impressed by her personality and her ability to stand up for her honor, for her dignity, for her future. And I'm speechless. I'm for us, the worst thing already happened. And we don't have to fear anything. But they live in a society under the occupations. The pressures are enormous. Their ability to rise up, to join us, to show strength and determination in their struggle for their own society is something to be very proud of. And I really thank you for it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Arnon, did you feel what risks did you feel or fears did you fear participating on Saturday?
Well, in today's political and social situation in Israel, it's not that easy to tell people that you're going to Beit Jala to meet with Palestinians. But honestly, Rasha and her friends are facing a much greater risk, and I really appreciate their efforts.
Great, thanks. There was another question here in the chat about Walaje. Let me just find it. So it's from Mary Lynn Thompson about whether if we had worked with more community places that solidarity groups have targeted before, if we had done that, if marching to these villages would have created a more welcoming reception.
I think it's more not about to visit more villages or to visit more and to have a lot of marches to villages. It's about the political situation on the ground. It's about the culture of to live under the occupation. It's about the political issue of normalization. And I think slowly that we are, as we said, we succeed to have today more than 800 alumni, but I think soon we will succeed in a different place and in the different groups. It's about the process. It's about how to convince the people that what we are doing, Rasha and myself, it's part from our resistance against the occupation. It's part from we are fighting for our rights as a Palestinians, together with our partners and Israelis. And the minute that we can explain for our society and the people and the different villages what we doing exactly, it's for the Palestinian case, I think a lot of doors, and it will be increasing the number of doors that will be open more and more.
Great. There's so many questions. I think we have time for one more question from their people with their hand raised and one more in the chat. So Madeline Marks, I'm going to.
Hi.
Hi, Madeline.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi, I'm in New York. I think this question of normalization is extremely important because without a clear expression of mission of what the Parent Circle is doing, you will always have people who will fear what you are doing. And it seems to me a little problematic that there is no politics in this. I mean, I understand that making peace is a wonderful thing and making friends is a wonderful thing, but if people can't see that you are accomplishing something to make their life better, to take away a checkpoint, or to some way go in the direction where you can get to that place where everyone is living together with respect, then you'll always have this lack of communication on both sides. Not that I'm saying what's not happening here isn't wonderful, it is, but I think that without that extra link of let's have a small, in each village that we're concerned with, or let's have a small goal that where you can show people that something we can change. Otherwise, people will not trust you on both sides.
Madeline, I just want to make sure I'm getting your question because we're short on time. So is the question sort of what is the impact on the ground?
Yeah, I think that what you can do to answer the conversation question, I think that's a very, very significant thing to get trust from people on both sides who are not in your group. To have a clear statement somehow, a clear mission statement, and maybe small goals that are more than just the meetings in hotels and holding hands and hugging, as Rami said.
So yeah, I'll take a stab at it. I mean, it's very clear, you know, the mission is very clear, is to have a reconciliation process alongside any future peace agreement. And the idea is that with each dialogue, with each emotional breakthrough between each Israeli and each Palestinian, we're one step closer to a reconciliation process and to have a critical mass of people who have trust, who have mutual understanding, who can acknowledge the other side, who don't live in fear, who are not motivated by stereotypes and hatred. The more people we have like that, the more of a critical mass that we have, the more of a voting body that we have that will vote for people who will support these ideas, that will, you know, the more dialogue, high school dialogue meetings that we do for youth, the fewer the soldiers that go to the army right after high school will act differently to the Palestinians they meet, and so on and so on and so forth. So there is impact. There are studies. I'm happy to share them with you. We evaluate all of our programs. The evaluations show that there is increase in trust, increase in willingness to participate in peace activities on the ground, an increase in being supportive of peace activities, and that's very significant. And so I'll be happy to share that with you after the call. I think we have one more question. Time for one more question. What should we take? So I guess a couple of people are asking about how can outsiders help. So Carol asks that she's from Canada. She's been to Israel and Palestine and praying for peace. She's a writer and has a peace blog. Then Katie also asks, I would also like to know what would be the most helpful way to partner with your work as an outsider. I have a couple of things to say about that, and then if anyone else wants to add. As the person in the US We don't have a Canadian Friends yet, but as the person, yet is the operative word. Who is that from? Carol. We need your support. I mean, we need to bring these incredible people who you've heard from today to the US in order to raise awareness of our messages and raise support for the work that they're doing over there. You know that organizations like the Parents Circle are under attack, that it's not easy to do the work that they're doing, that like Rami said, it is a miracle to have a dialogue, to have a conversation. So you can sign up for our newsletter so you know what we're doing. You can you like us on social media. You can, for those of you going to Israel, Palestine, many of you have said that you're going to Israel and Palestine, bringing groups, get the Parents Circle to speak to your groups, invite the Parents Circle to come to your communities and to raise awareness in your cities, wherever you may be. If you want more information, you should contact us afterwards at americanfriendspc@gmail.com, and we're happy to help you learn more about how to do that. Does anybody, one of our speakers, want to add about the ways that other people can help?
Yeah, I will try to end it with the message I always give to people we meet, and I think this is the most important message of them all. I always say I'm the son of a Holocaust survivor. My late father was an Auschwitz graduate. And 70 years ago, while they took my grandparents to the ovens back in Europe, the free and civilized world stood aside, never lifted one finger. And today, while our two nations are massacring each other without any mercy, and there is a genocide in Syria, and people are drowning in the Mediterranean every day, and atrocities wherever you look, standing aside is a crime. Standing aside while these horrible actions take place is a crime. Now, we don't want people to import our conflict to their communities. Each one of you have its own problems, and we don't want you to be pro-Israeli. We don't want you to be pro-Palestinian. We demand of you to be pro-peace and to be against injustice and against this ongoing situation in which one people is dominating another. Is the essence of evil, and it must be changed. And I will finish with a message of a Jew with the utmost respect to my people, to my tradition, my history. And I will tell you that ruling and oppressing and occupying millions of people without any democratic right for so many years is not Jewish, period. Not two ways about it. And being against it is not anti-Semitism. And if you get into an argument, you can quote me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Rami and Mazen and Rasha and Arnon. And thank you, everybody else, for joining us today. Like I said, we'll have a recording, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.